who wants to really read my story? Like, I don't know. I don't have enough hubris to think people are so interested in my story. So then I was like, how can I make this useful? And I thought, you know what? I could take what I do in my talks, which is talking about chasing your dreams, the 8 steps, and build a book around that. Welcome to A Heart for Space. I am your host, Dr. Eiman Jahangir. Join me as we uncover what it takes to reach beyond the limits of what we think is possible and turn the biggest dreams into tangible reality. Thank you today, Leah, for joining me on my podcast. This is actually the second time we're talking for this podcast, though I think your episode's going to come after this. And on this one, I thought maybe you could ask me some questions.
Yes, let's turn the table.
Me, which seems weird, but we're going to go with it.
We're going to do it. I want to turn the tables. You've just been peppering me with questions, so we're going to turn the tables. No, I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to interview you a little bit, Eiman, because I think that your audience needs to know more about you and who you are. And I think it's so great that you're bringing all these people on to interview as well, but you have an incredible story. So let's dive into it.
I will also say, if you want to hear more about my story, go to Breaking Precedent.
Oh, yes.
Is Leah's podcast where she interviewed me both pre-flight and post-flight.
Yes.
And I think like a further down reflection. So she's got all the emotions.
I have a series of 3 interviews with Eiman. Yeah. And I'm actually going to re-release them this week.
Oh,
so,
perfect.
It's going to be really, really fun. But yeah, let's dive in because you've got some incredible things to share. So kind of before we get into all of the amazing, impressive stuff that you have done, let's just start very basic. Like, who is Eiman Jahangir as a person? How would the closest people to you describe you?
Yeah, this is good because this is what I ask people on my podcast. You know, I think people would say that I am funny, hopefully kind, and maybe a little impatient.
I think that's accurate.
I think those 3 things.
Kind and impatient. Those are accurate for you.
Yeah.
That's so good. Were you always like that as a kid as well, like throughout your entire life?
I think I was funny and kind. I don't know when the impatience hit. I don't know if that happened as I got older or as I had children, or if I always had some level of like attention deficit I don't know. I've never been diagnosed with ADHD, but I do wonder if my like need to move factors into my need for everything else to move at the same speed, which is not fair. And it is, if you're going to ask me what's one thing I am constantly working on, it is being more patient with the systems in healthcare, because sometimes they do not move fast.
I mean, we could have a whole episode about that, and we should.
Yeah.
But I honestly don't know how you do it. I get so impatient when I'm on hold just waiting to make a doctor's appointment. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, was medicine always the plan for you, or did you ever explore other paths?
So I wanted to grow up and be obviously an astronaut, but also I always liked Indiana Jones. And I thought when I went to college, I would do anthropology as a major. Thought that was going to be awesome. But from a young age, I had also been kind of, I wouldn't say steered, but my father steered me to be a doctor, and I kind of knew that's what I wanted to do. And so to make that happen, I had to do a lot of pre-med recs. So I gave up on my anthropology dreams at a young age. So yeah, I think medicine was that thing that I was always trying to achieve from a young age, because being an immigrant in the U.S., seeing what my parents had to go through, giving up a very comfortable middle-class life to coming here and having to rebuild everything, it was all about stability. So there was no idea of, I know you've done entrepreneurship. You kind of broke that precedent in your family, as we talked about in our podcast. But really, it was just like, find a stable job, be able to support your family, and then give your kids, so the next generation has that ability to take those risks.
Yeah, no, that totally resonates. What about the focus on cardiology? Like, how did that happen, or what drew you to that particular field?
Yeah, I mean, I've told this story before, but when I was 8 years old, my grandfather came over for a bypass surgery and had a stroke. So all of a sudden, this guy who was a professor, a pharmacist, he couldn't speak. And it was scary. I didn't really know what a stroke was, but that was my first experience with cardiology. And so I knew I was interested, and as I was getting into medical school, you kind of hang out with people in the fields that you think you might want to do. So if you want to be an ENT, you're going to go hang out with the ENT crew. You want to do orthopedics. And I just really got along with the people in cardiology. They were all like pretty level-headed people. There's a lot of engineering that goes in cardiology. So I just enjoyed both like the medical aspect of it, of like, oh, you have a heart attack and I can fix it, and things being less ambiguous, and also the people in the field. And I think those two things really pushed me to decide to do that.
It's all about the people and who you surround yourself with.
I mean, really it is. And this also goes back to exposure, because if you have exposure to different types of people, then maybe you would end up in a career that would be different. I always say, like, I definitely could have made different choices in high school and college that would have gotten me more likely accepted as an NASA astronaut, but I didn't have those people around me to guide me, right? So I didn't know about the internship that you could take in Houston, or that in college you could go do an internship at Johnson Space Center.
Yeah.
No clue.
Yeah, totally. So interesting. So paint us a picture of, like, what does your typical day look like as a cardiologist?
Oh, man. I mean, I think both our days wakes up with kids. So once we get through the family piece, I get to work. Most days, I mean, right now life is good. So it's like most days they're at 8, sometimes they're at 7 a.m. And I'll either be in clinic seeing patients, one after another, some new patients, some return patients. And then on other days, I'll be reading ultrasounds, doing stress tests, doing procedures, kind of like shocking people, like clear. You ever see that on TV?
My God.
So we'll shock them. Yeah, it's fun. It's still fun. It's still fun. Every time you stop the heart, you're like, okay, is it going to start up?
Oh my God, that's crazy.
There used to be a game show. I forget what it's called, but it was like in the late 70s, early 80s, and they'd hit this button and they'd be like, no whammies, no whammies.
Oh, I remember that.
And there were these little gremlin characters. Yeah.
Yes.
I always, in my head, I'm like, hit the button. I'm like, no whammies, no.
Oh my
you want to make sure that everything goes smooth, right?
Yes.
So that part, and then seeing patients in the hospital. So it's a lot of patient-centered care, and then I'm doing some teaching and a lot of administrative work these days. So really glamorous, as they say. But this is, it's funny because everyone wants to be a doctor. Like, those people who want to be a doctor, it's like you're growing up and you're like, I want to be a doctor. I want to see patients. And then, like, you get there, and this is what you do every day and potentially for 30, 40 years, and it wears a lot of us down. I mean, you see it. Burnout is a very real thing. And it's not the patient piece. Like, humans are fine. It's all of the other system pieces, the insurance companies, the administrative work, the paperwork. And so it's interesting to see how it's going to evolve in the next 10 years with AI. There's already apps that you can use that you just speak to the patient and it does the whole note for you. So you don't even have to type anymore if you don't want.
Yeah. I was in to see my doctor just yesterday, getting over this little cold, and they're like, oh, do you mind if I start my scribe? And
That's right.
Like, sure. And then it sent me notes afterwards. I was like, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
So it's going to be a good tool.
Yeah. It's like AI is really going to transform this industry and hopefully, break down a lot of these systems that are just not aligned with patients and patient care.
Well, and there's a group called Doctronic. I'm not a financial investor or anything in them, but they're basically an AI-generated doctor, and then it gets you through a point where it gives you some diagnosis, and then says you can, talk to a live doctor for X amount of dollars or a televisit for X. But they were given permission to prescribe refills of any medication in Utah. First time. So you don't have to see a doctor. It goes through like the pharmacy. Great idea. They had to get insurance. They had to get state approval. But as of yesterday, the Board of Medical Licensing in Utah, I think, sent a letter to the state, and I think are talking about suing them. So there's like, these are those legal precedences that have to be figured out. Like, AI could probably do that pretty well. The risk of harm is pretty low if I'm just refilling your blood pressure medicine. But there's going to be fights because the old guard and the new guard, and it's interesting.
And the incentives are not aligned.
The incentives are not aligned. So it'll be an exciting time. I'm excited to see.
What are you talked a little bit about patient care and seeing patients, and like, can you share maybe one or two patient stories that have stuck with you through the years?
Yeah. So I mean, I've had a lot of patient stories, but I think the ones that stick with me are like how hard life is and how unfair it can be. So for one instance, there was this one woman I knew who I was seeing who was diagnosed with cancer while pregnant. So here, young woman, all of a sudden finds out she's pregnant. Super exciting, right? Trying to get pregnant for a while. And then gets diagnosed with cancer. And now can't have treatment for that cancer until her kid's born. So delays treatment of her care for, I don't know, months, waiting for this kid to be born. And then the kid's born and now has to get treatment. And you know how that first period where you have a newborn is and you're breastfeeding and your body's been through a lot just from the and, and there's so many stories like this. It's just like, there's nothing she did. These were just the cards she was dealt. So it's like, how do you deal with that? How do you persevere with that? And then on the flip side, you have patients who come to you and they're in terrible shape from things have happened. Maybe they have the congestive heart failure, or they have surgery. They've had a heart attack, and you see them change their lifestyle, improve things, get healthier. But yeah, I mean, I think the one thing is being a physician does is it lets you kind of get a wide swath of humankind, different socioeconomic statuses, different life choices, different, cards dealt. And so it makes me always appreciative when we're healthy, when we're, living our lives fully, comfortably, because people have it hard out there.
Yeah.
And I think that's when I was working for Blue Origin last year, there were days where I was sitting around and we were doing cool stuff and rocket stuff and space stuff. But I was like, I kind of miss seeing people and hearing their stories and trying to help them out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing perspective. It puts everything in perspective. Absolutely. Your health is so important. So let's dive into space a little bit. You mentioned Blue Origin. When did space first become a real goal for you and not just a dream?
Yeah, I mean, I think this goes to something you said when we were talking, the muscle of conviction, which I love that line. That's a great term. I was 24. We had gone to Kennedy Space Center. I was a fourth-year med student. I was about to become a doctor. And then I realized this is something I want to do, really do. So that was that first step into the unknown. I was like, well, how do you become an astronaut? Well, let's look it up, get some information. And then just having the gall to put my name in there like I belonged, and somehow making it to the finals, which was unexpected. So, yeah, I mean, I think that was it. And then unfortunately, when you make it to the finals, then you're like, oh, I really do belong here. Yeah. And then maybe if I hadn't gotten past round one, it would have been a dream that I let go. But if you have a little bit of success, sometimes that's enough to really push you to keep going.
Yep. What did your family think during this time? You talked about your, family of immigrants and stability and the importance of stability and your parents wanting you to go into medicine. What did they actually think when you decided to make space an actual goal?
Well, my brother reminds me of this story. He says, I had applied, not thinking anything. I was 24. No, by the time I applied, I was 28. It was 2008. And then I got the first application back, sent in the secondary application. Then I got an interview, and I still hadn't told my parents. So my brother knew, Amber knew, your sister. And then I got an interview to come back as a finalist. And my brother's like, dude, you kind of need to tell mom and dad.
Oh my gosh.
So I think I was so afraid of just what they would say or how they would get into my head, because in their mind at this point, I was in cardiology fellowship, living in Nashville. This was the dream.
Their dream
I was
for you.
Back. Yeah. And I was going to be a cardiologist, very stable career, helping people. And so I didn't tell them until I had a finalist interview in 2009. And then they were like, are you crazy? What do you mean? Why would you do this? This is insane. Yeah, which is pretty funny but that's the reality of it, because in their mind, one, it's unsafe, right? 1 out of 64 Definitely. Shuttle. Your odds of death in the space shuttle is 1 out of 64. This is pretty high rate of failure.
Pretty high.
Yeah. And then also like you're going to go be a government worker, which is stable, but it's not the same as being a physician. So yeah, it took a while.
Okay, so it took a while. Did they come around? What has been the sort of, I want to really go to the launch day as well.
Yeah.
August 29th of 2024, because your parents were there.
They were there, yeah.
My sister was there.
Yep.
You had the kids there too,
The kids were there, yep. And my brother was there. It's questionable if they came around. It's funny because in 2013, when I became a finalist, they also thought it was crazy. And then Jasmine Moghbeli, who's a Iranian woman, she wasn't Iranian born. She was born in Germany, but she's like military, I think helicopter pilot, NASA astronaut. She finally flew to space and spent 6 months on the space station 2-3 years ago. And they were so proud. Here's this Iranian woman in space. And my brother's like, dude, that could have been your son. Where were you a few years back? So come around to like getting picked. And I knew I was going to go space. My parents came to our house and I sat down and I told them, and they were both like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like we figured eventually you would go. But then the morning of, they were a mess. And I get it. Like, you're going to see this person sit on top of a rocket who you love. You understand that the rocket could blow up. Oh, my God. And that this person is going to go to space. Yeah. And something could go wrong there. And I love, in talking to Jeff Bezos, I think the thing that he said was very interesting. He said to me, you don't appreciate how much people love you until you're about to strap yourself to a rocket. Because when he went up with his brother Mark, and he had his parents there, his extended family, and he's like, it's harder on the people that aren't going with you because they're the ones like watching. So
just watching, they have no
just
control.
Watching. Yeah. So I told my brother, I'm like, please take care of mom and dad. I'm out.
Yeah, because you really had to focus, right, and be mentally present for this mission, right? Like
and you definitely want to not be worrying about everyone on Earth, right? Also, particularly a suborbital launch, it's not as long. And I made videos before, like for everyone in case something went wrong. And in all the videos, I said to Amber, to my parents, to my brother, I'm like, listen, you couldn't have, don't think you could have said something that would have made me not go. Like I was going. So this isn't on you. This is on me. And like, sorry, it kind of sucks that I'm not here now.
But you are here. So it's
I
all
am,
good.
thank goodness. Yeah.
You've returned to Earth.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the liftoff and that moment where, the rocket fires up and you get launched into space. So just walk us through it.
So I was sitting there and waiting for a hold. Commonly in any launch, there's a hold, which means that the flight controllers pause the countdown so that they can either go back and fix an error, or if there's an error that pops up, they can account for it. Is this mission critical or not? So you'll almost always see a hold. And then there is a certain level where like the systems take over, it's automated and there's no turning back. So as soon as we got to the point where the systems took over, which for New Shepard is at T-minus 2 minutes, I think for the New Glenn, it's closer to T-minus 5. Then you're going. Like, it's really hard to stop that thing because all the automated systems kick in.
Wow.
So then I'm waiting, and it's like, then you hear the 10-9-8, and I'm like, they can't take me off this rocket. So I will say, I cried on the way up. I was very emotional.
Was it happy tears or was
happy
it
tears?
Okay,
happy tears. But if I had been a better like social media influencer, I would have definitely not cried and taken better photos or something. But I didn't have that experience. But you see some of these people, they're professionals and their photos coming down are pretty impressive. But I was super emotional because this had been 20 years of actively trying with no guarantee.
Wow.
Ever, right? Like there's still been less than 800 people have gone to space. And so to at least know that I did that, I still want to go orbital. I would love to do like a slingshot around the moon one day.
My God.
If that's ever an option.
That was amazing.
Oh, I think our whole society needed that Artemis mission. And that crew was exactly the right crew. And I told Amber, I was like, in a different timeline, I was on that mission because all of the astronauts were picked up in either 09 or 13, which were the 2 years I was down to like 50.
My God.
So it was fun to watch them. They were perfect. They were perfect for they did such a nice job.
It was so inspiring. And it is exciting to see, what's happening with space and technology, and, Mars is next, and there's so much ahead of us. So I
there's
think
so much ahead of us.
We live in exciting times.
Which is why in the next 20 years, I will get to orbit and maybe slingshot around the moon.
I believe it. I don't doubt you for a second. So once you got up there, you did have a few minutes of weightlessness above the earth. What did you do in those few minutes?
I mean, I was surprised at how easily it was to move around, because I opened my seatbelt and thought I'd have to push, but you just kind of float up.
Wow.
And very quickly, I realized that one of my crewmates was having trouble getting out of their seat, mainly because they said, I'm having trouble getting my seatbelt undone.
So stressful.
And I think it could have been quite stressful. So I went into like dad doctor mode. I turned right around and asked them, like, what's going on? They said, okay, I can't get the straps open. And I said, okay, can I try? Like, because I didn't want to just jump in. And they said, absolutely. And I will say, luckily, we were able to unstrap and get the person out, and so they had a great experience. Oh. But it was interesting because, that probably took up 30 seconds of the 4 to 5 minutes of floating around. But it goes to show you that, like, you are who you are wherever you are. And I was both dad and doctor are like very much parts of who I am. So I'm always thinking about how I can help people. And if there's an emergent situation, I'm probably going to be one of the first to jump in, which in this case I was. And so, I did that. And then I obviously looked out the window. I did plank. But I waited for everyone to sit in their seat before I planked.
You are a master of planking. I have the best photos of you planking.
I was disappointed this weekend. There was a Arnold Schwarzenegger like pop up in California that I knew was happening, but I couldn't get to, and they had a planking competition, and I was like, I would have been all over it. Yeah, maybe not the push-up competition.
People moving escalators. Plank. That's all.
I got it.
All I have to say. Okay.
That was your 30th birthday, Amber's 30th birthday. That was a while ago.
Someone turned 30. It was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. Don't worry. My daughter thinks I'm 5 years old based on her schoolwork that she sent home yesterday. So
she's the cutest. The cutest. Yeah. Okay, so you planked in space. That was a priority. I love that.
Priority, yes.
Yes. Anything else? You helped this person.
Helped the person. And then, I flipped upside down, looked out the window, and just wanted more. I
remember seeing your little heart float around.
Yes, I did have a heart. Yeah. So, it's like cardiologist. So I got a crocheted heart.
Yeah.
A Heart for Space, which is the name of this podcast and my book. And so I did let it float. I have video of it somewhere, but I should pull that out.
That video. Pull it out. Yeah. Put it on the grams. It was so good. Well, let's talk about the book next. So you do have a book coming out. So on top of everything else that you're doing, you are also an author. What made you decide to write the book?
A couple of things. Initially after my flight, I was like, I'd like to share my story. I tried this for 20 years and I was doing that in person, talking to students, which I get a lot of joy of. Like the kids in Memphis this morning were awesome. But then I was like, who wants to really read my story? Like, I don't know. I don't have enough hubris to think people are so interested in my story. So then I was like, how can I make this useful? And I thought, you know what? I could take what I do in my talks, which is talking about chasing your dreams, the 8 steps, and build a book around that. I was like, okay, now we've got an idea, like a little bit of my story, a little bit about like a how-to. And I was like, but really, I feel like it needs more. And I was fortunate because I was reading another book. It was by one of the Shark Tank guys. What's his name? The guy who started FUBU. The clothing brand when we were young? Yeah. And he has a really good book. It's called Starting from Broke. And it's really about like building your brand and not spending a lot of money until you're growing. And he had interviews with people throughout the whole book, which was really great. I was like, I wonder if I could get some interviews. Then I'll have something. So I reached out to my network, and sent some cold emails, reached out to some friends. And before I know it, I had not only my story, not only like the steps and the how-to part, but also interviews with 8 astronauts, which I think is much more interesting, right, than a memoir, for me at least, to be able to include all those pieces. Jared Isaacman, the current NASA administrator, is in it, which is pretty cool. My mentor, the second cardiologist space, Drew Gaffney's in it, and a lot of other really cool people. So I feel fortunate because once again, it's like, I had the ability to reach out to these people and they said yes.
It's awesome. That is awesome. What's the one thing you really want readers to walk away feeling or thinking after they read the book?
I want people to know that, like, they are, in a lot of ways, what's holding them back. People can do things that they don't think they can. And so they should just go try. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, great, because at least you tried chasing that dream. And so we shouldn't be the ones self-limiting ourselves. We should really give it, if there's something inside you that's like speaking to you, then get out there and try to get it done.
Mm-hmm. I love that. So, cardiologist, author, astronaut, is there a common thread here connecting all of it, or did life just take some wild turns along the way?
I mean, I think hyperactivity, like we said earlier.
I gotta say, like, when we were kids, diagnosing ADHD was not a thing.
Did not exist.
Yeah, it didn't exist. So it's, whatever.
But I was able to sit down and like study, so I didn't have that. Whatever I had wasn't that.
Student.
Yeah, I was always studious. I mean, I think the common thread is like being willing to work hard and like sacrifice some of the like parts of your life to achieve the dreams that you have, right? For medicine, that's very obvious, right? Like, didn't go out some nights in college, during medical school, had to spend nights studying, residency. I mean, well into my 30s, I was spending 30 hours in the hospital. Like, I gave up on holidays. I gave up on weekends. I gave up on hobbies. I gave up on income. Gave up on sleep. Gave up on sleep habits because my sleep habits are messed up.
Yeah.
For space, it's harder. I mean, I think the last 20 years, I've pursued things that I thought would make me more like enticing to NASA. It didn't seem like work. I think for space stuff, it's just being okay with the no's. Because NASA said no to me 5 times. I had 6 other things I applied for say no before the 12th one hit. So just being okay with that. And then the author piece, I think, goes back to if you feel something calling you, just go do it, which is, I really felt like writing a book. And so I made it. I said, okay, I'm going to give myself 8 weeks. I'm going to write a chapter a week.
It's amazing.
And it's not going to be great, but I'm going to get it out there and then I can fix it once it's out there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's absolutely incredible. So for people that don't typically see themselves in these kinds of stories, what do you think your journey says about what's possible to them?
You could be the one that makes it so someone else can see it, right? So I was a Boys and Girls Club member when I was little. So there might be kids in the Boys and Girls Club that don't think these things are possible.
Yeah.
I was, an Iranian immigrant kid with a weird name in the South. I don't think anyone knew what I was going to do. I think you just have to have faith in yourself and not let other people define you.
Yeah. How much of that sort of outsider mindset do you believe gave you an edge versus holding you back? Like, how do you think about that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think being an outsider can be useful because it might allow you to see things in a different light. For things that have well-defined roots, if you're going to be a doctor or if you're going to follow a path down the business line, maybe not as an entrepreneur, but like I want to be a banker and then I want to be an investment banker. I think being an insider is probably more helpful because then you have a network that's going to teach you and carry you. I do think it's important to find the people that are going to carry you and help you and lift you and mentor you. And being an insider sometimes helps, right? So maybe if I had had some more opportunities and connections because I was not an outsider, it would have been helpful. But I think for some industries, being an outsider is better, probably in entrepreneurship, because you're looking for things that no one's seen before.
Yeah. Well, I just think your story is so incredible, too, because you did take this non-traditional path to get to space. And, it's like it's so unique. And maybe you wouldn't have done that either, right? If you had been more of an insider. And so it's like, wow, being able to share this story with people, I think is so powerful because it is so unique and it's non-traditional, which is great.
No, you're right. Maybe I would have said, okay, well, NASA doesn't want me. I'm out. That's that.
Yeah, right.
Nothing else is good enough for,
right.
Yeah.
What's something you learned from going to space that you bring back into your work as a doctor?
I try to be, I feel like I always had a good sense of humanity, going back just from being a physician, but I try to also be more patient. This goes back to the impatience piece with everyone because, if you do see Earth from above, and particularly the pictures the Artemis crew just sent back, you realize how we are an oasis sitting in a black desert, and this is it.
Yeah.
We are, and humans have only been on this planet for a very small portion of that history. So we need to try to be kind with each other and forgiving and understanding because maybe we live 100 years in the entire history of the Earth. That's not a long time. So it's not great to use that time to be mean to each other or trying to take from each other.
Yeah, I thought the Artemis crew, they just did such an amazing job reflecting on humanity and the good in humanity. And it was just so inspiring to watch. Like you said, I think we all needed that.
Yeah, and just the crew selection they all brought something very specific and very special. And, whether it was Victor Glover with his faith or, Carol who had died that they named a crater after, which, having someone with twin daughters at home without them. Just all of it. The stories of the crew were incredible. And then I just saw something pop up on Instagram today. One of the naval officers who rescued them, they go in and they get them out of the ship in the water. He had brought an iPhone and he was like video recording it. And then one of the astronauts took it and said a statement to his son. He's like, hey, your dad just told me you built the Artemis Lego set and he's here helping get it. The guy just got back from the moon and here he is.
Wow.
Making a video for the guy who's, it's just, they're just an incredible crew. Yeah.
It's super, super cool. Yeah. So what's next for you, Eiman? What are you working on? What are you thinking about now?
I think we are going to get the book out, hopefully go around, talk to some people and try to inspire them. But I think maybe next I might have another book in me, but it might be medical.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I think I'm thinking maybe a space medicine book for the masses.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. I would read it. Yeah. Sign me up.
I just got to figure out how to write that and do all the research. So it might take a little longer, but it'll come out.
Okay. So one last question. When you look back at everything, this incredible journey, the medicine, the flight, the writing, what are you most proud of?
I guess I'm most proud of two things. One, it's obviously going to be the kids and the family, right? Because they're going to be the legacy beyond all of this. But two, it's that the one thing doesn't define me or you or anyone. And two, that I'm still on a journey to keep being challenged, right? It's not like, oh, I'm now a cardiologist. I could just coast, right? Or, oh, I went to the space that one time, I'm done. It's how do I keep challenging myself? How do I keep pushing? And I think that's the thing, to stay challenged.
Awesome. All right. Yeah. Well, thank you, Eiman. This is so much fun.
Thank you for taking the time, Leah. Thank you for listening to A Heart for Space. If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to follow the show so you never miss an episode, and consider leaving us a review to let us know your thoughts. For more on my work in the pursuit of ambitious goals, visit aheartforspace.com and look out for my upcoming book, A Heart for Space. Until next time, I'm Dr. Eiman Jahangir. And remember, sometimes the only obstacle to achieving an impossible dream is the courage to keep going.